Sometimes I look at my shelves and realize I don't keep these games to play them. I keep them to remember how they made me feel. Not because you don't love them, but because they belong to a different version of you. I catch myself doing that all the time, just standing there, running my fingers across the spines, remembering the nights I stayed up way too late, the sound of the console humming in the dark. The excitement of finding a hidden level or beating that one impossible boss. And yet, I don't touch them anymore. They sit there quietly, like old friends I've lost touch with, waiting for me to call. Sometimes I wonder, why do I still keep them? Why carry them from apartment to apartment, dust them off, rearrange them, even though I know I'll never press start again? Maybe it's nostalgia. Maybe it's fear. Maybe it's something deeper. Something that has less to do with games and more to do with memory, identity, and time. So today, I want to explore that. The real reasons we hold on to the games we'll never play again. By the way, I'm Alexis. I'm the voice of someone who doesn't speak English that well, but still wanted to share their stories and memories with you. So I'm here to speak for them. All right, let's continue. When I pick up an old game, it's never just a box or a disc. It's a doorway. A shortcut straight back to a moment I didn't realize I'd been missing. Sometimes all it takes is one sound, a startup tone, a menu click, and suddenly you're 12 again. For me, one of those moments is Super Smash Bros. Melee on the GameCube. I still remember sitting on the floor with a friend, controllers tangled between us, the TV humming quietly in the dark. We laughed so hard we forgot to care who won. We didn't care who won. Well, maybe a little. But mostly, it was just laughter and that feeling that the night could go on forever. That purple console clicked when you closed the lid, and somehow that sound still feels alive in my head. The memory card still has our names on it. We wrote them in all caps, like that made them more real. And right beside those little mini discs on my shelf, there are the old PC boxes. Age of Empires 2, with that serious medieval artwork on the front, and Rayman, the Settlers 2, Doom, Commander Keen. The Windows 98 tower that ran them sounded like a small airplane, and every time it booted up, I got that shiver of excitement. Back then, patience wasn't a skill. It was part of the experience. Sometimes the games didn't even start properly. You'd mess with auto-exec BAT or swap CD-ROMs just to make it work. But that effort, that ritual, made it feel like the game was earned, like you were part of it before it even began. Most of those discs don't run anymore. The installs are gone, the saves erased. But when I look at them, I don't see dead software. I see a heartbeat frozen in time. I see weekends that felt endless. I see friends who aren't here anymore. I see the version of myself who still believed every game was an adventure. Maybe that's what I'm really collecting. Not games, but versions of me. That's why I keep them. Because they don't just hold data. They hold life, compressed into plastic, paper, and sound. You ever miss a version of yourself that didn't care about time? The one who played games just because they felt good, not because there was something to unlock or complete or record. I think about that a lot. Back then, life didn't move so fast. The internet still screamed through a phone line, and patience wasn't a virtue. It was just normal. After school, I'd drop my backpack somewhere between the door and the hallway and press the big round power button on our beige Windows 98 PC. That startup sound, that soft hum before the monitor flickered on, it felt like a deep breath, a signal that the day could finally slow down. Sometimes I'd open the Settlers 2 and just watch tiny blue workers carry stones from one house to another. It was hypnotic, a quiet kind of joy that didn't ask for anything back. Or Rayman, where I'd replay the same level again and again, not because I had to, but because the music made me happy. And on the weekends, it was Smash Bros. Melee, not for the matches, just for the chaos, the laughter, and the noise of friends shouting over each other in a room that somehow felt bigger than it was. Those games remind me of a time when I didn't need to earn joy, when it was enough to just play, when silence wasn't awkward and the days felt endless, like life hadn't yet learned how to rush. That's why I keep them. Not because I want to relive the games, but because they hold the feeling of a world that wasn't always running ahead of me. Sometimes I wonder if I'm keeping all these games, or if they're the ones keeping me. There's a small box in my closet, just old discs, manuals, a few cartridges, nothing rare, nothing anyone would fight for on eBay. But every time I think about cleaning it out, I freeze. It's strange. The things we hold on to are never the expensive ones. Because when I hold one of those games, I don't just see plastic. I see moments that don't exist anywhere else. The room I played them in, the people who were still there, the version of me who didn't overthink everything. I tell myself it's silly to hold on, that they're just things. But part of me knows it's not about the objects. It's about what happens if they're gone. Because if I throw them away, what else disappears with them? I think I'm afraid of that silence. The kind that comes after letting go. Afraid that one day I'll wake up and not remember how it felt to care so much about something so small. Sometimes I imagine passing them on to someone else, someone younger, someone who might love them the way I did. Maybe to a kid who still believes in magic the way I once did. And yet, I always end up putting them back, right where they were, like they belong there, like they're still waiting for me. Maybe it's not really fear. Maybe it's love, the kind that doesn't know where to go anymore, so it hides in old boxes and waits for us to be ready. Every box, every cartridge, every manual I've kept, it's a small bookmark in the story of my life. I can trace whole years just by looking at those spines. The blue of Smash Bros. Melee means summer. The Settlers 2 means rainy afternoons and hot chocolate. And Doom, that one smells like dust, cold air, and the sound of my dad's old PC. It's strange. When I organize my games, it feels like organizing memories, like I'm putting my life back in order, piece by piece. When I see them lined up, I remember where I was, who I was, and how much time has passed since. The gains don't change, but I do, and maybe that's what makes them so important. And maybe that's why I need them there, because they remind me that time has moved, and somehow I've moved with it. I think collecting, for me, is a quiet kind of storytelling. Not for anyone else, just for myself. A quiet way to say, I was here. I felt things. I loved this. And when life feels blurry or uncertain, I can look at those shelves and remember that even if everything keeps changing, some part of me still has a home. That's what collecting really is. A way to measure time and make peace with the fact that it never stops.